Hey, sports fans. Welcome to the Skylander Sports Scene. This is John Kuntz, Athletic Director at Sussex County Community College. You're listening to us on WRSK 97.5, your cruising oldies station. My guest today is Dr. John Connolly, the president of Sussex County Community College. Welcome to the show, Dr. Connolly.
It's good to be here, John. Thanks.
Well, let's start here. Why don't you give the audience a little bit of background, where you came from, where you grew up,
Sure.
before your time here at Sussex.
Okay, all right. Well, I was born and raised in New Jersey, and Morristown Memorial Hospital is what it was called at the time, and then went to high school here. Decided to go away for college. When I went away for college, I sort of, as a young man, told my parents I would never, ever come back to New Jersey. And, of course, here I am back in New Jersey. But went to Maine, got my four-year degree, spent about 3 years teaching 7th and 8th grade science, and then went back to graduate school in Connecticut. And then I was in graduate school again after that to get my PhD, and I studied biology in Maine again. So I've spent a lot of my time in Maine up to that point. Then went into teaching. My aspiration as a biologist was always to share my appreciation, understanding of the natural world and how it works with students. So I did that and went to Allegheny College. I was a professor at Allegheny College for a year. Missed Maine, came back to Maine, and I was at Husson University. I was a research professor and teacher there, and I then quickly found my way into administration. There was sort of a need for leadership of a certain kind. And basically, leadership meant, is there anybody here willing to do the work?
Right,
so
right.
I said, yeah, I'll do the work. And so you end up taking on work and then taking on more work, and you find yourself in a leadership role. And so I did that, and I ended up as the assistant chief academic officer at Husson University, which at the time was Husson College. They did a name change late while I was there. Once we were sort of at that point for me in my sense of what I wanted to do at a university by doing some administrative work, I had to make a choice, and that was to continue to be a biologist and to teach, or to get into academic leadership. And I chose academic leadership because I felt like I could influence more things and help in more ways. So I also had a taste of community college. I had taught a summer microbiology class at Eastern Maine Community College. It was a fantastic experience. I loved it. I loved the students. It was really terrific. And so I then took a job down in Texas, and I went to Texas, and I was the dean of math science and healthcare at the Lone Star College in Kingwood as a community college. We had about 9,000 students. It was part of a system of community colleges, the Lone Star College system, which had at that time around 80,000 students.
Wow.
So I was one college of 5 colleges with 80,000 students, and that was a really very rich experience. But there was an interesting job that came up at a small rural community college, about 1,900 students in Sheridan, Wyoming. It had a sister college that was a partner with Gillette College, which is 100 miles away. And both of those were residential rural community colleges. And so they had residence halls. And so I was in Houston doing a typical commuter community college situation. And I thought, well, you know, being at a 2-year institution with the values of a 2-year institution, but with residence halls, with athletic programs, was really key to me. And I decided based on that. I decided based upon the fact that they had residence halls and athletics, and I wanted to be a college that had residence halls and athletics because the complete student experience was very important to me. It's mind, body, and spirit. And in a commuter-oriented community college, there's a sense that you're doing a lot for the mind, the academic discipline, and for occupational training, that sort of thing. But not the other things that young people need to develop, in my opinion, properly. So this was a really great move. So I did that, and I was in Wyoming for 4 years, really enjoyed and embraced the cowboy ethics of the place. In fact, when they offered me the job, I said, okay, well, send me the contract. And they said, we don't do contracts. And I said, wait a second, you're asking me to leave my current job without anything that I sign that lets me know that I've got a job when I get in the moving van? He said, that's the way we do it in Wyoming. It's a handshake.
Wow.
You're just going to have to come.
Okay.
And it was great, and that's the way that they did things. You know,
that's interesting.
a handshake is how things are done. There are no lawyers.
Okay.
And there are no contracts, and there is none of that sort of thing. It's about, okay, we had this conversation, we agree, this is a verbal contract, we shake hands, the deal is done. And that's how it was with everything.
Wow.
So I then, but I had a vice presidency position opportunity because somewhere along the line I wanted to become a president. Again, it was about my ability to influence things. When you work for a president, you work for that president's vision. And I had a vision of my own, and I wanted to be at a college where I could develop my own vision. And later on, we'll be having a conversation that sort of ties into that. But when I went to Maine, I was hoping that I'd be able to influence the vision, and I was able to influence some of it. But I quickly realized that if I didn't become a president relatively soon, I might sort of lose my mind, or I'd lose my vision, and I really wanted to do that. So, and I was pretty well set on a rural community college that had athletics. And that it needed to be rural. It needed to have its own governing board of trustees, and it needed to have athletics. These were my criteria. And well, Sussex County Community College in New Jersey, back home, was looking for one. There was another institution in northwestern Connecticut, in Winsted, that there was another really good one. There was one in West Virginia as well, and then there were several others, but this was the match because it had all of those pieces. It had the athletics, it had the rurality, and it had the independent board of trustees. So I applied, and you folks embraced me here, and you accepted me, and I accepted the position when it was offered to me.
So now that you've been president for a few years, is it cracked up to what you thought it would be?
Yeah.
What's your day like?
What's my day like?
What's the president of Sussex County Community College's day like?
Well, I have lots of folks who ask me each day, "Did you get my email?" And those who
I've sent a few of those.
and those who work with me finally kind of figure it out. Yeah, I know that it got delivered, but I don't have any confidence that Dr. Connolly actually read it. And that's because I am always meeting with people. And so the job, the way that the job is, the way that the job is crafted, and the way that the job, I believe, needs to be, is that it is about the people. It's about the people inside the institution that need help and support, guidance, or whatever it might be, and that I am to do that. That is what my day is supposed to be filled with.
Yeah.
Now, we all are shackled to our desk in one way or another, and email communication is an important thing. But I let folks know that if you send me an email and you get absolutely nothing back, not a thank you, not a got it, not a great, there's not even one word, it means I haven't read it. Because I answer all the emails that I read with at least one word that lets people know that I read it. Okay. And I mean, other times there's more, and I have to. But the work, as you said, the day is about meeting people, solving problems, and of course trying to execute on a vision.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about athletics.
All right.
My area, my field.
That's right. Let's talk about you for a while.
Well, what experience do you have in the athletic world, playing, coaching, that you've done in the past?
The very earliest memory of athletics for me, or sport. It was an interesting thing. I had a great conversation with my nephew about what is the difference between a game and a sport. We can talk about that on another occasion. Okay. But sport and athletics are also not exactly the same either, because you can have an athletic competition, but is it a game?
Right.
Okay, so track and field, is that a game? Is that an athletic competition? Anyway, for me, it was maybe I was 5 years old. And the Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys were, of course, all the rage. Who's going to be in the Super Bowl? It's going to be Dallas with Roger Staubach, or it's going to be the Miami Dolphins with Bob Greasy. All right. And I played football in the backyard with my brother, who was 6 years older than me. So if I'm 4, he's 10. Mm-hmm. If I'm 5, he's 11. All right. And so this was not much of a match. But I learned how to be tough. I learned how to persevere. It was the bonding of brothers. It was all that sort of thing. So it wasn't too far along the path that I ended up doing t-ball and baseball, and I ended up doing football, Pop Warner football, and all those sorts of things. And then I ended up I had a brief stint in baseball. I ended up not growing in the way that other young people grow. So I was later, and then once you go to Babe Ruth, the mound, the mound just it takes a quantum leap. There's and I hadn't hit puberty yet, so I was a pitcher and a first baseman, and I'm supposed to throw fastballs practically twice the distance, and I haven't hit puberty yet. So it just wasn't going to happen. So I ended up playing soccer in 7th grade instead of baseball, and that was interesting. And with real soccer players who've been doing it for forever, and it was my first time. I could run fast. I could run circles around everybody, but I couldn't kick the ball. I didn't have a leg. So the following year, I did track, and that was an interesting experience there. I didn't find my footing there. Went into high school, so I continued football the whole way. But in the spring, I went for lacrosse, and that was the game for me. That was my game. Okay. A little too small for football, but lacrosse was my game. So that was really a terrific experience. And then my senior year, I had at that point accumulated a minimum of 6 concussions. I played football, I played lacrosse, I had 6 concussions at least. 2 of them were very scary for my parents. So I stopped playing football after my junior year and in my senior year. And so I spent the fall getting ready for another head-safe sport called hockey.
Okay.
So, and, I don't know how I convinced my parents that this would be okay. I really can't remember what I did, what chicanery I contrived. But I had a lot of buddies. I had more buddies on the hockey team than I had on any. So they supported me, and they taught me how to skate. And my brother was a hockey player, but wasn't able to continue on when he was much younger. So I ended up having this tableau of football, hockey, baseball, soccer, lacrosse, and what all of them have taught me about athletics is what they teach young people about discipline, about self-control, about perseverance, about teamwork, about putting yourself second or third. There's an expression, I'm third. And all those kinds of things, really terribly important. And I believe that they're terribly important in young people's development. And so my vision at a college is about athletics, and that athletics is a parallel function of academic programming, because there's nothing quite like the leadership development that occurs, the human development that occurs when you're playing team sports. And this world, if there is nothing more clear now than ever before, is that this world needs good, disciplined, self-controlled, appreciative of team leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I see that you attend a number of athletic events here at the college.
As best I can.
Compared to previous presidents that I've worked for, you've been very good at coming to basketball games and stopping down at the soccer field and getting out to the stadium with our baseball team and up at the softball field. Why is that important to you?
Well, it's important to me so the selfish I part of this is that there's a little bit of vicarious stuff going on, of course. Is that we sort of live through what we have enjoyed and loved passionately by watching others. And there is something about watching young people engaged in this way that is just entirely inspiring. It's just a feel-good experience to do that, to watch young people fight and work and collaborate and cooperate on the competitive court or field towards a particular goal. It's just in and of itself inspiring. I also go and enjoy it, and what do I experience there is the president, is that a sense of pride in what athletics do for the college. They bring distinction to the college. John, you and I talk a good deal about that. Right. When our athletic teams are on display, our students are on display. Our spirit is on display. Our aesthetic is on display. Yeah. it doesn't get any better than that. And so I believe in it. It's important. And the president is on display. Does the president value this exercise or not? So I make a statement when I show up, and I wish I could show up more.
Yeah, no. And I know the coaches and the players, but I've heard comments from my coaches how much they appreciate it, when they see you in attendance, and they know you're there, and they say, oh, it's really nice that Dr. Connolly took the time, to come and watch my team compete. So we certainly appreciate that.
And I try not to embarrass people. Since I'm on display, I try not to get too vociferous.
Okay. That's all right. You can cheer loudly, though, for us, and yell at the referees, too, occasionally when they blow the call. You're listening to WRSK and the Skylander Sports Scene. My guest today is Dr. John Connolly, the president of Sussex County Community College, and we're talking about the college. We're talking about athletics. Let's talk a little bit about what are the good things that are occurring right now at Sussex County Community College, in your opinion? Not only in athletics, we got a number of good athletic things going on, but overall on our campus, what are the good things that we can boast about here at the college?
Well, I think one of the things, there's so many things that we can boast about. We have tremendous people here. The folks who work here, they're committed to what happens here. They're committed to the mission. They're committed to the students. Every day the students come, and we have folks here who don't let them down. They do everything that they possibly can. There's no universe in which we work where we'll make everybody happy, but I will tell you that the folks here are fully committed, not just to the happiness, but the success and the fulfillment of the people here. I also feel that the staff and the faculty here, they support each other. Right. Nobody. I'd like to believe that nobody feels alone, that nobody feels abandoned, right. And that's important because the work that we do, although we have people who are committed, it isn't easy. We are a community college. Community colleges right now in this country are underfunded and under-resourced, and that's true in the state of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey is no better, no worse than any place else. There are some states that are just simply worse. So that's a condition that we don't have to worry about. But we're not in great shape either. We do not have great largesse. We are on a thin margin, and that makes it difficult. So folks here who work here work very hard. They work very hard. Yeah. And that can be tough. And guess what? People here do it, and they help each other and support each other as they do it. And I think that's really great. Then there's all the things that are happening for the students. We've got so many clubs and organizations. We have a program here called SOAR, which is student orientation and registration, advising and registration. And at that event, people talk about what we have here for the students and their yep. parents when they come. And I will tell you that we are second to none when it comes to campus life. We have Amy Rude who is leading that. And so students get an out-of-the-classroom experience, which is so important, as well as the in-classroom experience. Students come to take classes, they come to learn. When they come onto the campus of the college, they come to a college which has a pulse and a feel. And having a campus life is a critical piece of that. That's really terrific. And we've got new academic programs that we're developing that we're really, really happy about. One of those is very important, we believe, to the town. It's a culinary program, and this is going to be a one-of-a-kind culinary program in the state of New Jersey. We have many culinary programs, and they're all good in their own way. Some of them are excellent. Ours, whether it's going to be good or excellent, that's going to depend upon many factors. But I'll tell you, it's going to be different than any of the others. We are going to have a four-pronged approach that others won't have, and we're pleased to be doing that. We're going to have a culinary institute, which is going to be a permanent physical facility. It'll be downtown in Newton. There will be lunch and dinner served there 2 or 3 days a week. As a part of our sophomores' skill development. It's going to be a laboratory. It's basically a clinical placement site. Nurses, our nursing students, they go for clinicals at the hospital. Our culinary students are going to go for clinical in a restaurant that they operate. So that's a really pretty big deal. So we're looking forward to that. And then many other programs. Automotive is a program we have, but it is growing. And again, I would say that right now it is second to no one second to no one. We are going to be introducing welding very soon. We have it on the books, but we need a place to do it. Machine tool is up and running, Thor Labs. We're looking for another auxiliary facility for our machine tool program, and we're looking forward to potential for diesel. So those are four very metal, flames, and steel kind of programs that we're looking forward to. And we've also got a new building that's being built that's going to support those programs and others.
I get the sense that the presence of the community college to you is extremely important, to be out there in the community, to reach out to, whether it's the town of Newton or the county of Sussex, and interacting with the politicians and the mayors and the other important people out there who are running our communities is extremely important to you, that the college, hey, we're here, we're a part of you. Is that true?
It is. It's very true. I've always believed that, and all the other places that I've been, actually not all the other places. In Wyoming, it was terribly important. In Maine, it was not important at all. That was interesting to me. In Texas, it was kind of both. It kind of depended upon. It was important for some groups and not for others. But here in Sussex County, it's terribly important. And being visible, the president being visible is the symbol for the leadership at the college is important. But I also have the help of others too. There are other folks who are ambassadors for the college all the time. And so I never, it's one of those interesting things. I did work at an institution where the president wanted control of everything that was said, everything that was done, and every idea was to be his, frankly. And I had a dean who was very creative, who was working, and he didn't report directly to him, but reported indirectly to him, to the president. And what he said about the situation was, it is very hard for an organization to be entrepreneurial when you're only allowed to have one entrepreneur. Right? And it's so true. And so for me, it is very important that people get out there. So if you've got something to contribute, be out there and do things and collect ideas. And there are folks who bring ideas back and they get processed. And I'll tell you, there's so much here at the college that I'm not aware of, and I'm the president. Why? Because it's important to me to allow people, the staff and the faculty here, to do their own thing. They've got moxie and mojo. Let them go. Let them run. Let them do their thing. And that's important. Now, there are limits to that, but you don't want to snuff people's creativity and energy. Really important not to do that.
Why should a student consider coming to this community college?
Oh, because we're the best. No.
Of course we are.
I think that for what we do well, but also for what we do uniquely, I think that we're a great place. What we do well is that we have never heard, or has never gotten to me, or anybody that I know and talk with, that we don't care. Students come to this campus one way or another, even if we can't solve their problems, even if it doesn't go all as well as they would like and all the rest of that, they don't walk away feeling like that somebody at this college didn't care and care enough to sit down with them and work with them. Absolutely critical. And I am telling you, that is not the case everywhere. It is not. We have we have a reputation for that. And we do that incredibly well. What we do uniquely is that it's interesting. Things that we've been doing for a decade, other colleges are just saying, well, we really need to do that. Whether it's in online education. Now, all community colleges essentially have got online classes that they're offering. But doing what we're doing in online classes, we sometimes we can be hard on ourselves and say, well, we should do this and we should do that and we should be doing this and we should be doing that. Well, again, I see that as a strength. We have people who take their jobs and their roles seriously. They want to do better. They want to improve, and it's evident every day. The other unique practices that we've got are accelerated learning programs where students enter into a class. They may not be fully ready for an English composition class or a college algebra class, but we let them in anyway because we're going to give them parallel extra support on the side. So that they don't have to do a developmental class. They can do a college level class,
Right.
and they can be doing that. Now that's known as an ALP, and I think that the majority of community colleges are at least experimenting with that, and good for them.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for like 7 years.
Okay.
All
We're
right.
ahead of them.
So we're ahead of them, and we just continue to do that and be like that.
Yeah.
And why? How is that possible? Why is Sussex County Community College able to do that? Because we're not stuck. And sometimes people say, well, we feel stuck and change is hard. And people need to give themselves a break.
Yeah.
We are changing a lot, and there are lots of reasons for that. But in part, that's because of the enthusiasm that exists here and makes it possible. And I don't see any sign of people. When I tell people, slow down, you don't have to move that fast, they move faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I have the same sense too. Let's get it done. Let's go.
To be sure, I push. I do push. I push you, Coach Kuntz. And I'd like to believe that there's some flexibility there and whatnot. But there's some people who they want to get things done now.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about bosses. I'm talking about folks who do the work in the trenches, and they want to change their world as fast as they can.
Yeah.
Now, those will be the very same people that might complain about there's too much change. But it's fascinating that people are okay with change when it is their idea and they have some power and control over it. And so I try to lead in a way that maximizes that without driving us all crazy.
Yeah.
And so why should a student come? Because we're a place that's happening.
That's right. Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. And while we're talking about students, graduation day is coming soon in the middle of May.
Yeah.
An important day for a lot of people, not only the people who are graduating, but for us who witness it. So as the president of the college, what does graduation day mean to you? It's a culmination for a number of students who may have been here for 2 years, some who may have been here for a lot longer time, some of traditional age, some of non-traditional age. So what does graduation day mean to you?
Well, again, it's like going to an athletic contest. There's just a great sense of pride. It's moving because you know what they've done. Some of these programs are incredibly difficult, and the journey has been either long chronologically or has been long because of the intensity involved in it. So you know what they've committed themselves to. These are also very personal stories. Every single one of these folks has their own personal story that they bring to it. But here's the thing, graduation, as a biologist and as a scientist, there's this thing that you measure liquid, and it's called a graduated cylinder. Okay, a graduated cylinder has little marks, okay,
Right.
10 milliliters, 20 milliliters, 30 milliliters, all right? Each mark is a point towards filling the volume of the graduated cylinder. Graduation is just a mark in the filling of a cylinder of life. All right, so it is just one of those points, and it represents life ongoing, and it's an incredible point, and it's a point to celebrate, and it's one of great investment by these students.
Yeah. You talk a little bit about, I'm going to give you 30 seconds on this question, and then I'm going to have a final question about reinvesting back into the college.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's very important that this change that I talked about have some resources behind it. It can't be just on the backs of everybody. If we're going to change, we're going to do this, we're going to alter that. So, for example, in welding, we absolutely need to have a welding program. This country needs 300,000 welders right now.
Wow.
Okay, and we just can't generate enough. The vast majority of proficient welders are 58 to 67 years of age. And when we talk about manufacturing, we talk about infrastructure and bridges. If you take a look at what's happening in construction in New York City, it'll just flip you out. And look at all the torches and flames, and we need welders.
Yeah.
And we need to be generating them for the economy. And these are really good jobs. You're a welder. Immediately, you'll be making $45,000. In 2 years, you'll be making $65,000. Once you get good and maybe you're doing pipe welding, you're making $120,000.
I may have to look into that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Change.
The better deal would be electrical line worker. Okay, now you're a little old to be an electrical line worker, but you'll have an even a more accelerated path.
Wow.
Take a look at what happens when we have a storm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and you have to have the skilled people to be able to do this work.
And they have to bring them in from other states.
They bring them from all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, Puerto Rico is still a mess. Puerto Rico is still a mess because they don't have the skilled people to do the work.
Yeah.
That's the basic hang up about how long it takes to get this work done. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point is that if we're going to have an electrical line worker program, if we're going to have a welding program, if we're going to have things that serve the economy, the community, and people so that they can provide for their own families, we need to invest in welding equipment, in laboratories for electrical line worker. We have to invest. So resources need to be used in such a way that we stabilize the institution and we think about the future of the institution and we invest in it.
Yeah. Great. One last question now, and again, 30 seconds on this one. I understand you have a pretty good athletic director here.
Yes,
so
sir.
Is that true? Is that true? What do you think of the athletic director here at Sussex County Community College?
When I interviewed here, there are several people I connected. One of them was Dave Litteral, too, who's not here any longer. But I identified some personalities. I need to connect with this person. There's something here that I want to tap into. And there's a combination of things that struck me. And Coach, the athletic director here, was one of those people for me. I said, I want to do more here with this. I don't know what this is like, but there's a potential here that I want to make sure is realized. And I couldn't be happier.
Yep. You've inspired me. You've motivated me. In the second half of my career here at Sussex, and I certainly appreciate it, Dr. Connolly. I really want to thank you for coming on the show. The time flew by today. I want to thank all the audience out there who's been listening to us on WRSK 97.5, your cruising oldie station, broadcasting from Sussex County Community College. We'll catch you next time.